Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Yusuf Shakeel and you are watching CSS tutorial series. In this video, we are going to learn about background property. So let's get started. Alright, so I have opened brackets and now I'll go ahead and create a new file and I will save it as background.html. And I'll write the following HTML code. So we have the doc type HTML, opening and closing HTML tag, opening and closing head tag. We have set the title to background and we have the body tag. Now inside the CSS folder, I'll go ahead and create a new file and I will save this as background.css. And inside the HTML file, we are going to include this background.css file. So in the head, we'll write link rel set to style sheet and href set to css/background.css. And now I'll go ahead and open this live preview. Alright. The first property that we are going to discuss is the background color property. We use the background color property to set the background color of an element. The value of this background color property can be the name of a color, it can be in hex form, it can be in RGBA form, or it can be in RGB form. I have discussed in detail about different color values in the previous video. I'll give the link of that tutorial in the description as well as in the info card, so feel free to check that out. Alright, so let us go ahead and create a div inside the body and let us give it an ID sample-div1. You can give any ID value that you like. Now inside this div, let us create a paragraph and set the content to hello world. Now let's say we want to change the background color of this div having ID sample-div1 to light yellow. So for that, we'll go to background.css. And since we are targeting this div having ID, so we'll write hash sample-div1 and we'll set the background-color property to light yellow. And let me give this a padding of 15 pixels. So now you can see the output. This div is having its background color set to light yellow. The next property that we are going to discuss is the background image property. We use the background image property to set the background image of an element. So let us go back inside the HTML file and create a new div and give it an ID sample-div2. Now, in order to set the background image, let me go inside this CSS project folder and create a new folder and name it image. And I have this heart.png image file. So I'll place this file inside the image folder. So back in our brackets, you can see we have this image folder and it contains heart.png file. And now we'll use this heart.png file to set the background image for this div having ID sample-div2. So inside our background.css file, we'll write hash sample-div2 and let us give this div height of 120 pixels. And to set the background image, we'll set the background-image property to URL, and inside this we'll write / This is for the CSS dash project. Then we'll go inside the image folder. So we'll write image. Then we'll write the file name. So hard.png. And now we have the background image for this div sample-div2. Let me give this div a border using the border property. So 1 pixel solid #111. We'll cover more about border in the border tutorial, so don't worry. Just remember, in this line, we are setting the border for this div to 1 pixel solid, and the color is set to #111. Now, if we look at the output, we can see that the image is getting repeated horizontally and vertically, even though we have only one heart image. This is called tiling effect, or repeating of the background image. So we can control the tiling effect or the repeating of background image by using the background-repeat property. So let us go back to our HTML file and create a new div and give this div an ID sample-div3. And now inside the background.css file, we'll write sample-div3 and we'll set the border to 1 pixel solid #111. We'll set the height of this div3 to 120 pixels. And we'll use the same heart image for our background image. We'll set the URL to image/heart image. So, and now in order to control the repeating, we use the background-repeat property. And it can take no repeat, repeat, repeat-x, repeat-y values. So no repeat, if we set the background-repeat value to no repeat, then the background image will not be repeated horizontally and vertically. And if we set the value to repeat, which is the default value, if we don't give this, the image will repeat itself both horizontally and vertically. Now, if we want to repeat the image horizontally, then we'll use the value repeat-x. So we'll have the image repeating itself horizontally. And if we want the image to repeat itself vertically, we'll use the value repeat-y. Now let's say we want to position the background image to a certain place inside the element. So for that, we use the background-position property. So let us go back to our HTML file and create another div and give this div an ID sample-div4, and back to our background.css file, let us go ahead and write #sample-div4 and give this div a border 1 pixel solid #111, and let us set the height to 120 pixels. And we are going to use the same hard.png image as our background image. So we'll set the background-image property to URL/image/hard.png. And let's say we don't want to repeat this image. So we'll set the background-repeat to no repeat. And to set the background image position, we use the background-position property. And this can take certain values. For example, let's say if we want to position the image at the top left, so we'll write top left. If we want to set the position of the background image to top center, we'll set the value to top center. And if we want to set the background image position to top right, we'll set the value to top right. Similarly, we can set the background image position to center left. So we'll set the value to center left. And this will set the position of the background image to center left. And if you want to position the background image to center, or that is at the center of the element, so we'll set the value to center. And similarly, if we want to position the background image to center right, we'll use the value center right. And similarly, we can set the background image position to bottom left, bottom center, and bottom right. So let's say we want to position the background image to bottom left. So bottom left. And if we want to set the background image to bottom center, so we'll set the value to bottom center. And if we want to set it to bottom right, we'll set the value to bottom right. So for this div hash sample dash div 4, let us set the background image to center. So we'll set the background dash position property to center space center. And this will position the background image at the center of this div. We can also position the background image to an exact location using pixel values. So for example, let us go back to our HTML file and create another div, give it an ID sample dash div 5, and inside our CSS we'll write hash sample dash div 5, and we'll copy this and paste it in sample dash div 5. So we have set the border to 1 pixel solid hash 111. We have set the height of this div to 120 pixels. We are using the background image hard.png, which is inside the image folder. So we have set URL to /image/hard.png. And we don't want to repeat the background image. So we have set the property background-image to no-repeat. And now let's say we want to position the background image to 20 pixels horizontally and 50 pixels vertically. So we'll write background-position, and we want to set it 20 pixels horizontally and 50 pixels vertically. So when we set this value to 20 pixels space 50 pixels, we can see the output. The background image is now 20 pixels shifted from the left side and 50 pixels shifted from the top. Similarly, we can set it to some other values. Let's say 100 pixels from the left and let's say 10 pixels from the top. Similarly, we can set it to some other values in percentage. So let's say we want to shift the image horizontally, let's say 20%, and from the top we want to shift the image vertically to 20%. So 10% from left and 20% from top. So we can position the background image using pixels and percentage value from the left and top, that is horizontally and vertically. Another property that I want to discuss is the background attachment property. It is used to attach the background image or to make it scrollable. So it can take two values, fixed and scroll. By default, the background attachment value is scroll. That is, the image will scroll as we scroll the page. But if we set the value of the background attachment property to fixed, then the image will remain fixed even though we scroll the page up and down. So let us go back to .html file and create a new div and give this div an ID sample-div6. And now inside the .css file, let us go ahead and write sample-div6. And let's give this div a border 1 pixel solid #111. And let us set the height of this div to, let's say, 600 pixels. So this is the div 6 and its height is set to 600 pixels. And let us use the same background image. So we'll go ahead and copy this and paste it. Since the default value is repeat, and let's say we don't want to repeat the image, so we'll set the background -repeat property to no -repeat. So we'll use this. And let's say we want to set the position of this background image at the center. So we'll write background -position to center space center. Let's say first we want to make this background image scroll as we scroll the page. So in that case, we'll set the background -attachment property to scroll. Now as we scroll this page, you'll see that the background image is also scrolling. But if we set the background -attachment property to fixed, the background image will remain fixed at this position, even though we scroll the page up and down. So if you look at this position where I'm hovering the mouse, so as I start scrolling the page, you'll see that the heart, the background image, is fixed at that position, even though I'm scrolling the page up and down. So if we want the background image to remain fixed at a position, we use this background -attachment property and we set its value to fixed. And the image will remain fixed at that position. And if you want the background image to scroll as we scroll the page, so in that case, we set the background -attachment property to scroll. Now before we end this video, let us discuss one shortcut. Now we can see that we have set the background image, repeat, position, and attachment property. And these are 4 different lines. There is a shortcut. We can combine all this 4 into one. So let us go back to our HTML file and create a div and give it an ID sample-div7. And back to our CSS file, let us write #sample-div7. And let's give this div a border 1 pixel solid hash 111, and let us set the height to 400 pixels. So this is our div 7 having height set to 400 pixels. Now the shortcut is we use the background property, and the first value of this property is C, that is color. The next property is I for image. The third property is the A for attachment. The fourth one is P for position, and the fifth property is R for repeat. So let's say we want the background color light yellow. So we'll set background to light yellow. Now the second property is the image. So let's say we want to use this heart.png file. So we'll write URL /image/ heart.png. That is the path of the image. Space. The third property is attachment, and let's say we want our background image to scroll. So the background dash attachment property, or that is the third property, will set it to scroll. Space. The fourth property is position. Let's say we want to position the background image at the center. So we'll write center. Space. And the last property is for repeat. Let's say we don't want to repeat the background image. So we'll set the value to no dash repeat. And now we have this element div 7 having background color set to light yellow. It is using a background image from this image folder, and the image is heart.png. So we have this URL /image/heart.png, and we want this image to scroll. So we have set the attachment value to scroll, and we wanted this image to be at the center. So we have set the fourth property, that is the position, to center. And finally, we don't want to repeat the image, so we have set the fifth property, that is repeat, to no dash repeat. And we have this output. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of this tutorial video. I'll post the tutorial notes on my website dyclassroom.com. The link will be in the description. And all the code that we are writing in this tutorial series, I'll put them in my GitHub repository. The link will be in the description, so please check that out. And if you find this video interesting, then please give this video a like and please subscribe my channel. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and like always, stay happy and keep smiling. Bye.